Hi, I'm Tamari. Today on the Energy Tune In, I want to talk about how letting ourselves off the hook can be an act of self love. Many of us, myself included, have learned to measure our self worth and love by our performance in a particular area of our lives. This often translates into feeling guilty or not good enough or even ashamed when we feel that we're not doing what we are supposed to be doing in a particular area and when we're not meeting the perceived expectations that we have. But how do we begin to bring awareness to this pattern in us? We need to start by recognizing that the thing we tell ourselves we're supposed to be doing has to do with whatever construct that we grew up with and have created a narrative around, whether it was conscious or not. It's often something that our parents or a close circle of people when we grew up valued really highly, and we learned to associate it with being loved and worthy of love and attention, of care, etc. For example, if your parents showed you a lot of love when you did really well in school, or even if they behaved in a way that you translated as withdrawal of love when you didn't do really well at school, you might associate love now with how successful you are at your work. Another example can be if the society around you celebrated marriage, for example, or finding your mate, you might associate getting married as the bar for your lovability and worthiness, and the list goes on. Either way, this is a story that we hold and that we usually inherited from our surrounding. And when we're conscious of this story, and when if we're not taking steps to become aware of it and how it plays into our lives, can very easily become a source of a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety and a cycle that perpetuates a feeling of not being worthy and not being enough. The reason for this is that as long as we are pursuing something as a form of validation of how good and lovable and worthy we are A, never free to just be ourselves and let that be enough. And B, we reinforce a narrative to ourselves that we're only lovable when we live up to some standard outside of ourselves. And guess what? The standards are just going to keep presenting themselves. They're just going to be another bar for you to meet. So you can see how this is pretty much the fast track to moving further and further away from being able to offer ourselves the thing that we all desire and need most, which is unconditional love and presence. So how do we begin teasing this apart in our own lives? Number one is becoming aware of your story. You can self-reflect or journal or pretty much just think about a part of your life that feels stressful or anxiety producing to you. This should be pretty easy to do. Next thing is be honest with yourself about what perceived expectations do you have of yourself about this area. What standards and beliefs are you holding yourself to that are causing this stress? Most people can also probably track the belief, like where the belief came from in childhood. And please note that this is not a reason to blame, because remember that the people that you got these beliefs from, they also are a product of their upbringing and society, and they might not be conscious of them as well. Next, number two, you want to begin identifying the voice in your head that moves you into action out of fear, that if you don't do this thing on your list today, you're not good enough, or you're not worthy, or you're not going to be okay. We all have many different parts of us or many different voices in our head that are directing us into action. That's totally normal. And though in meditation we can learn to not identify with those voices as who we truly are, those voices are still present with us every day, all day. They're a part of our personality and a part of our humanity, and learning to work with them is important. It might not be an easy task, and that voice might not be really obvious. It might show up as a criticism or self-judgment or negative self-talk, or a sense of inexplicable urgency to do something. But get in the habit of listening and even having a conversation with this part of you. Ask it questions, be curious, learn to understand it, because it is a part of you. And I would even say that it's a gateway to you loving yourself deeper. 3, if you've watched any of my videos, you probably know that I don't believe in rejecting and pushing away parts of ourselves, but in learning to integrate them. The part of us that pushes us into doing certain things out of fear that we won't be loved and accepted, it doesn't need us to shut it down. It needs us to soothe it. It needs us to show it unconditional love. And that will look differently to each one of us. For me personally, it takes saying, thank you, I see you, and repeating to myself, I love myself, whenever I sense that I'm trying to source love from outside of me to fill my cup. 4, and last, is ask yourself, what can I let go of this week that isn't serving me, but that I might be telling myself that I must do, from a place of fear instead of from a place of inspiration? How can I let myself off the hook this week? That's it for today. I hope this video was helpful to you this week. Let me know in the comments below what you're letting go of this week as an act of self-love. And of course, if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching The Energy Tune In. Thank you for tuning into yourself and working on yourself. And if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss a video. Thank you so much for everything that you do, and so much love. Have a good week.